Alright, so I'm going to show you how to hang the Perfect Sun 1000 onto a light meter. In this case, I'm using the LightRail. I like these because they last for a long time. They're really durable. Some people like Agro Mover. Anyway, this is what I use, the LightRail brand, and it's the 3.5. This one has been running for over a year straight nonstop. The other one I have has been running for 4 years straight nonstop. So they're really, really good. They last a long time. You're going to want some gear tie. This is what I prefer to use because it has really grip that grips in the metal. And you can buy this at Home Depot or Walmart even. Here we have, which I bought at Home Depot, is a 3-foot long solid aluminum dowel type rod. They call them rods. They also have steel rods that have threads on them, but they're more expensive. These were under $6. You take a tape measure to find the center and just measure 18 inches, which is 1.5 feet, and bam. And if you want, you can put a marking on it. Like I've done with this one here, just with the marker. So bam. And then what you want to do is you can either hang by these hooks like this. Now the problem is if you hang by these hooks, you can go through the center. There's a hole here that the LightRail comes with. And this is the default. So you can stick it right through this middle piece and balance it on there. Now the problem is that if you use the hooks right here, you're adding about 3 inches higher. So you're adding about 3 inches height. Now if you don't use the hooks and just go straight through where the hooks are, then you're cutting off about 3 inches. So instead of being, you know, I think it's 12, 16 or so, 15, 16 inches high from the ceiling, it's only 12 inches. So you're only using a foot. So I like to take these off. And we want this thing to move sideways, not vertically, right? Some people say, well, why not just take the things and clip them right onto this center piece here? Well, then the light's going to turn this way vertically and it's going to go like that. That's not what you want. You want it to be like this. So it's sideways too, so it moves back and forth. I'll show you the means in a second after we hook it up. So take the dowel, in this case the aluminum rod, and you don't want to use don't try to use a wooden rod or a wooden dowel. It's not going to work. It's just going to break on you. And then loop it through here like this. The reason why I put that halfway mark is that's going to show me where I need to stop, and that's where I know the center part right here. So I want that halfway mark to be in the center of this. So I'm going to go ahead and look, make sure I got the center right there like that. I'm going to take these metal pieces here and make sure they're coming straight up and down off of it like that. And then you can test the center by just grabbing it and picking up and see if it balances. If it balances, then you know you got the center. If it's not balancing, then just slightly use your finger here and just move the rod a little bit, literally just like a couple centimeters. See that? Now it's almost unbalanced. So I'm gonna move it back this way just a little bit, like that. Bam. Once you have that balance part, the next stage is using the gear ties. Now, I cut 2 little pieces of the gear tie. If you can use wire snippers or something like that. I use Cutco scissors, but wire snippers will work as well. And I like to kind of make sure that it's where it needs to be. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to wrap it diagonally across. If you can come in close right here, so I can see this. So I'm going to come diagonally across. This stuff has really good grip on it. Like that right there. And that just shows me that's where I know I want it at. And I can let this down right here. Now when I do this, I'm going to take it, I'm going to wrap around both ways like this, to where it holds that wire into place. And it makes it really grippy. You can't push that, so it's nice and it's going to stay there. I did the same thing to both sides. I'm going to do this side now. You don't have to see this part. Not a big deal, just kind of show what that part looks like. Bam, right? So once I have both sides like that done, I have my other piece here that was left over after I cut the ends off right here. Now, I want to test that balancing point again, make sure it's balanced. And then once I find that center spot, which it looks like it's right, just keep moving it until you get that sweet balance spot, which is right there. I'm going to take this piece here, and I'm going to wrap it. I want to pull the wire out of the way. I want to wrap it between the wire like this. Pull it down like so. I'm going to wrap it diagonally across so it doesn't move. I'm going to get that nice and tight. I'm going to make sure it's still centered. back to the center spot here. Just about, move it over just a little bit more. Bam, once it's centered, then I can take this and I can start moving it and wrapping it both ways. So this way, it won't move back and forth easily. It'll want to stay nice and tight to the rod. That's why I like using this grippy shit. Like so. Alright, now as you can see, that's going to be pretty balanced on its own. Now, as it goes back and forth, it has a little bit of sway. There's not a whole lot, but there is a little bit of sway there. And you can reduce that by putting zip ties. If you want to put zip ties in the hole first, do these holes and then zip tie it around both ends and reduce the amount of space in between there. Make it nice and tight. You can also tuck duct tape in there. There's all kinds of things you can do to reduce the sway. Another thing you do, if you're really worried about the sway and it really bothers you, you can get longer of this, or just go to Walmart, buy galvanized wire that has plastic coating on it. See how it bends in place. The LightRail movers have 2 holes on the side right here, so we can pull it through like that to make sure you give yourself enough length, and then just twist this. This is what I like about this stuff. I use this stuff all over the groom. It just comes in so handy like that. Then you want to go ahead and kind of get the length, make sure it's right, kind of pull it taut, pull it around this thing right here like so, and then just kind of wrap it a couple times just to make sure this is going to work. And you can pull it back this way like that. Now when I come up here, now you can see I have a harder time swaying one way, that way. See? So I have a harder time swaying that way. Then you can take the other side, take another piece that's around the same length, put it through the other hole right here. Now this is a really inexpensive way. You can actually spend about $30 on LightRail's sway bar, and that sway bar allows you to mount to this hole where this thing is screwed into. It allows you to mount to the hole, and it comes off like an aluminum bar, and it has other mounts on it, and then you can just hang it from those mounts. That would obviously be a really easy way to get it stable, but the cost about $30, you have to wait for shipping. I'm kind of impatient and I like to wait for shipping, and I wanted to show a more inexpensive way. This thing right here is under $6. You can get a whole roll of this here for a couple bucks at Walmart. You can get a couple of these at Walmart too for really inexpensive. And so for a lot cheaper, you can make something that'll work well and not have to spend as much money or wait for shipping and all that. I'm just doing this very quickly here just to show you that it works. Like so. I recommend doing it while it's on the LightRail first. And as you can see, if I move this, move the LightRail, just slowly move it as it's going to slide, you can see that it's going to move nice and good. Now if you want to get it exactly perfect, see how it's kind of not exactly like this? All you have to do is mess with the tightening of these things here. So if I take this side and tighten it a little bit more, that's going to give me a little more stability on this side. And so I'm going to take this, pull it a little bit tighter, and then all you have to do is just find that sweet spot. So in this case, I'm going to pull it just a little bit tighter before I bend it, and then I'll test it, make sure I have it right. And if I do, then I know. Actually, I pulled it a little too much. So this part, like I said, the only thing about this, doing it this way, is a little bit of trial and error. But once you get it to where you want it, then it's fuss free. You don't have to worry about it no more. Like so. That's pretty much. Sometimes you might have to remess with the balancing part again here. It keeps it pretty steady, but I want it perfectly balanced. There we go. That's almost directly straight. I might have to pull this side a little bit if I wanted it to be perfectly straight, but it's good enough. Now the next part, this is the hard part. So what you want to do is take off your little screw that comes. This is the locking screw. This decides how far you want your LightRail to go out. Now when you're using these, you want it to come all the way out to the edge, because you want to use them to their full potential. And they just kind of lock right in there like that. Really, really, really easy to do. and then you just tighten it down once you get them in there to at the length you want. I would recommend putting them all the way to the edge like that. Unless you only need 6 feet, then you might want to put them back over here. Then go ahead and slide the whole entire motor off of your LightRail, like so. And the reason why I recommend doing that is now you can take your LightRail and you can hang it and screw it where it needs to be. You have to see all these little holes right here, and it comes with screws. And if you don't have a wooden ceiling, what you're going to want to do is find the studs in your ceiling. One stud here, you had one stud here, right? What you want to do is put a piece of wood across right here and a piece of wood across here on the stud, and then across those 2 pieces of wood, another piece of wood like that, and then go ahead and screw it in, and then you can mount your LightRail to that piece of wood, right? So you can look up other videos and stuff. That doesn't make sense. Pretty easy though. And then once you get this up here, so hold it up like this. Got the rack all on there already. The rail's already connected to the wooden ceiling. And then attach the wheels of the motor onto the rail like so. And there you have it. Now you can see it's still a little bit, you know, I can go like that, I can pull that other side just a little bit, like this side right here is fine. It's not really pulling right now. But if I pull this side, so I can just adjust these. So this is totally parallel or perpendicular to the... Now you can see it's on the light mover. Got it hanging down. I'm going to move back here so you can see it. I have the light right now on an extension cord. So it goes to an extension cord, it plugs up to my plugs up there. And when it hits the end here, what I really want to show you here as it hits the end, watch the hot spot there. It reaches all the way out to 8-foot mark. So you can see that's the hot spot. Look at the light's almost coming straight down. It hangs off so much so that it's almost coming straight down to the end right there. All that's the hot spot. Now as I move back the other way, I'm going to show you really quickly that this thing is at 8 feet away. So that's 8 foot away right there. You can read that. See 8 foot. So I have the measuring tape out. First measuring a full 8 feet. Now as it moves it back across the light mover this way, we're going to see when it reaches this end. So we already saw that on that end it was fully. Now watch as it moves across. Let me go ahead and turn the gain up a little bit. Watch as it moves across. You can see that bright spot. That's the brightest spot underneath the light. Now as it gets away from there, the lux starts to drop and the par starts to drop. That's any light does that. I am working on a prototype design. I'm not going to reveal how it deals with certain types of lenses on the inside, a different mixture of lenses, of secondary lenses, that hopefully will give me a slightly wider range, but still the same, almost the same intensity going straight down. So it is something I'm working on. It's just a matter of whether or not it's going to work out or not. All right, so I'm going to go and pause until it gets over the other end. Actually, it's almost there right now, so let's go ahead and watch that bright spot as it goes all the way across. This way it was all done in real time, so no one can say that I messed with anything. So notice how it's dark over there now. But you can see how the par is still going all the way out to over here. You can see that full range, and then when it gets way dark over there, that means the plants over there now are resting. So the plants are on that side of 8 foot are resting, while these plants are getting bombarded with tons and tons of light right now. Now watch that bright spot. It's going to go all the way to the edge of the 8 foot. This is just to show that even though it's a 6 foot light mover, now I hit the end. Look at that, boom, brightness way out here. So they're hitting. That's still getting like right here. This is like in the middle. When it's 2 feet away, that's that 1600 lux, or no, 1600 par, 100,000 lux. Out here, you're still at high numbers. So it's reaching high numbers, 8 feet across, all the way across. So there you go, folks. And then there's a button up here I'd like to talk about for just a moment here. Let me see if I can autofocus this thing. Right here, there's this little, I don't know if you can see this. There's a little screw right here. You can adjust this, just kind of turn it a little bit to the right or left and adjust how much time it stops for. I had it stopping for about 15 seconds, and unfortunately you just kind of have to turn it a little bit and then time it, just manually time it, and then eventually you'll see it. And you can see how this thing is holding up really, really good. You can see that even if I were to turn one side of the light, I'm going to take this light and I'm going to drop it down, it stays and it sticks, because the sticky stuff really holds it in place nice. And if you need to rebalance it, it's really easy to rebalance. Alright, so from the ceiling all the way down, a little over a foot. So that's that. As you can see, on the light mover works great. So basically this takes up 13 inches this way. This is as high as you can possibly get it when you take off the ratchets. And then that's when your plants get really tall. If that happens, that still leaves you, so that's a foot there. If you have 7 foot tall ceilings like I do, If you have 8 foot tall ceilings, then you're perfectly, you can grow like 4 foot tall plants. But if you have 7 foot tall ceilings, that's about 13 inches. The pot itself, if you use a 5-gallon pot, a standard one, that's the tall 5-gallon, is 12 inches tall. That leaves you 5 feet to work with. You want to be about 2 feet away from the light. That gives you 3 foot tall plants to work with. Now, you can actually go all the way up to 18 inches away, which gives you 3.5 foot tall plants. And if you use a slightly shorter pot, like the 5-gallon squat pots, let's say like an air pot or just the plastic pots that are squat, they're a little bit shorter, they're like 10 inches tall. That gives you an extra 2 inches to work with. Not much, but you can also use 3-gallon pots and grow smaller plants, which will be really easy to maintain at 3 feet with a 3-gallon pot, and those are 8.5 inches tall. So that actually gives you like 3.5 more inches to work with. And so now you're at almost 4 foot tall plants out of a 3-gallon pot, which will be really easy to do. All right, so that's it. Thank you for watching. And then how to set up on the ground is I would just have 2 plants like this, or you can stagger them back and forth if you want. Depends how big they get. You might be able to fit 8 plants, 10 plants, really depends on the size. I'm going to try to fit under one light. My goal is to go for is 8 to 10 plants. So I'd have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in 3-gallon pots. That way they won't get super, super big. I might actually put one in a 5-gallon, just see how big it gets, and to see if I can control them in 5-gallon pots, and see if it's, what's going to work better, 5-gallon or the 1-gallon, or the 3-gallon. All right, so thank you for watching. That's it. That's how to hook it up to a light mover and how to get it all working. Hopefully that helps you out and get your grow going. If you're using a tent, you can still use the LightRails. All you do is you buy a piece of wood that's about this thick right here, so it's a little bit thicker than the LightRail itself. A piece of wood about this big. Make sure it's like about an inch thick or so. That way the screws can actually go into it. And then all you want to do is make sure it's a little bit longer than the LightRail. You want about, maybe get one that's 3.5 feet long. So you have like a couple inches on each side. That would leave you 3 inches, so maybe a little bit longer than that. But anyway, take a couple zip ties, zip tie that piece of wood to your pole in your tent, and then screw this right into the piece of wood, and now it becomes stable. All you have to do is buy the 6-foot light mover. The newer ones come with a split, so it basically comes with 2 3-foot pieces that fit together. If for whatever reason it doesn't, you buy a used one and it's all one piece. You can always order the piece by itself, the replacement piece. That's going to be a 3-foot one. In your 4-foot tent, you don't want to order a 4-foot piece. You want a 3-foot piece. Just make sure you put it on the very edge like this, like I did. Notice this is a 6-foot light rail, but you just saw it easily covered 8 feet. So a 3-foot light rail will easily cover 4 feet, because when the light hits that's the center of the light's still hanging over, right? And so it's actually going to hit the edge of your tent, and it's going to totally cover it with super intensity. So that's the best way to get the piece there and rock and roll. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Double peace. Look at the light rail one more time. Doom, doom, doom.